Welcome to Sentinel Strength. I'm your host, Nick Umble. So it's been a somber, shitty week in the United States. I got a pretty good show tonight. I have a friend of mine that I was on an ODA with for 2 or 3 years. We spent time on an ODA and an ODB together. We deployed to Afghanistan together. I would consider Rob a right or a left of center guy. And I consider myself a right of center guy. So we're going to have and talk about some things. So the big news was that El Trumpo, as Chris Rubio calls him, is was shot at. There was an assassination attempt. And there were some things that really maddened me about it. I believe the first thing that maddened me the most about it is that instead of this country pulling together, everyone decided to fucking double down. And there were a lot of, fuck that guy. Too bad. I'm glad they missed. And that shit and that rhetoric is why we're fucking where we're at. Right? That kid's 20 years old. He has been hearing this Trump rhetoric for half of his life, literally half of his life for 10 years. And so it's really crazy to me that this wasn't a somber wake up like, hey man, we've got to change some shit in this country. And then there was the whole debacle with, fucking the Secret Service and, oh my God, they suck and fucking. And so I kind of want to clear the air on that on my end, right? As a retired SF guy. First off, I think the chick that is hiding behind the president and not body bunker him like all those fucking dudes were, is a really bad showing for the Secret Service. I think that having a 5'2" blonde chick on the fucking presidential detail is what it is, right? I'm not so upset about that. And so I just confirmed this with Rob prior to the show. And I confirmed this with 11 other dudes. I wanted to have 12 guys that I'd talked to, right? And 12 is a big number for an ODA and stuff, for special operation, these special forces. And so I asked all those guys, have any of you, after maybe the first 6-8 months of being a team guy, ever missed your holster? Have any of you ever missed your holster? Putting it away in a crisis situation? And the unequivocal answer to all of those dudes was fuck no. Most guys like, I could probably throw that fucker in the air and twirl it, and it would come down and hit it would go in my holster, right? And what we're getting at by saying that is that is a lack of training. That whole thing is a lack of training, right? C is OBE. She's overcome by events, OBE, and she's in a stressful situation. And the first thing that she decides to think of is, I can't get my gun back in my fucking holster, right? That is some untrained shit. Well, if your training sucks and you're not ready to be on the presidential detail, that goes into leadership. So who was the leadership that put her on that detail? Right? Who was it? Who was that? Then we spent the last 10 years of our lives having the right docs because we didn't want to take a fucking vaccine or we didn't want to wear a fucking mask. And all of a sudden the right fucking came out of their shell and is like, well, we're going to give you back what you've been getting. And there's a lot of unhappy people on the left from what I read on the tweet machine that I'm on constantly. And it just goes to that showing that like finally somebody is saying, okay, enough is enough, right? Like I'm over this. And an innocent man did what he could to save his wife and child and got shot in the head and died. But yet when I watched this, I went to every different news channel. Between me and my wife, we went to 2 cell phones and a TV, and we were just going through channels, and every channel was like, Trump fell over, or Trump couldn't stand up, or there's been sounds heard, or there were snapping sounds, or firecrackers may have went off. I'll give it to NBC, just NBC and Lester Holt, and I'll give it to Fox News. They were the only ones that were saying that there were shots fired at a Trump rally. That's disgusting to me. That is completely disgusting, right? And so we have got to come together as a country and have a conversation like me and Rob are about to have tonight, right? And so that's my theory. And I'm really sick and tired of this country being torn apart, limb from limb for what it seems like. I want there to be some sort of unity in this country. We need it. We need it now. And we don't need it 6 months from now. And I pray that we do not have another attempt on Trump's life, right? That is some serious shit. There's some stuff I want to talk about with Rob. So other than that, great week. I want to send a shout out to 580 Barbell and Josh Hendricks for sending me his 580 Barbell horsepower pre-workout. If you guys don't get a chance, you can go to Shopify or go online to 580barbell.com and you can buy some of that pre-workout. It's awesome stuff. And he is an awesome dude. I just signed up for his Polar Express 3, I believe. So I'll be competing in Pennsylvania in that competition in December. And then my next comp is September 7th in Lancaster, Pennsylvania for Pennsylvania's Strongest Man. And with that, one of the last things I want to talk about is for the first time in 10 years, my favorite video game. That's right. I am a child at heart. My favorite video game, college football, came back to PS5. It came out and was loaded on my PlayStation at about 3:00 Eastern time on Tuesday. I have successfully played about 40 games of that series in 2 full seasons using the Liberty Flames. So, man, it's been awesome to have that game back. I am a huge college football fanatic. Me and my wife have traveled around the country to 70 plus stadiums, and I can't tell you how much college football has meant to me, has meant to my family. It is awesome. So Jenna just threw up in a chat, like, why college, not the NFL? Here's the difference. In the NFL, everyone is a Ferrari. It's just who's got better tires or who has tweaked their engines. So the disparity of skill is about like this. So you get breakaway plays, but you don't get massive breakaway plays. In college, the talent difference is like this, right? So you get, it's because it's a huge disparity of talent and ability, you get a lot of those breakaway plays. Not to mention most NFL stadiums fit 40 to 60,000 fans. And there's nothing like going to Clemson University and with 98,000 fans, or going to a sold out game at Beaver Stadium at Penn State and watching 106,000 fans get crazy, or going to the Horseshoe and watching them dot the I, or going and just feeling the entire stadium shake during Inner Sandman at Virginia Tech in the opening, or at the beginning of the 4th quarter in Wisconsin, jump around place and the entire stadium shakes like there's no tomorrow. Like, there is nothing better than the college pageantry. And so a lot of people don't know this. I just finished my master's degree in strength and conditioning. Really, it's a human performance with a cohort in strength and conditioning. And I will start my internship at Shenandoah University this fall. I'm super excited to start that and be an intern strength coach with the Shenandoah University Hornets, man. That is something I really am looking forward to. All right, without further ado. So our guest tonight is Robin Sielert, a San Francisco area native. Rob was raised by 2 hippies, but still enlisted the United States Army in 2003 on an 18 X-ray contract. He retired in early 2024 as a Master Sergeant E8. Robin was deployed on multiple rotations to Iraq, Afghanistan, the Philippines, and Korea. And I just found out tonight that his favorite rotation, and I don't know how he got this gig, but him and his family moved to Thailand for 4 years when he worked at Just Meg Thai. If you know, you know. Robin has since transitioned to the IT sector and feels that he held on to his liberal views he was brought up with while working in an organization that he thinks may be considered center-right, at least the most toxic, masculine, type A personality, competitive fucking place you could ever work. And it has to be that way. But I want to welcome Rob to the show. Jenna, take it away.
Hi, Joel Maurer, founder of Dink Ninjas. Dink Ninjas was dreamed up and started right here in Austin, Texas, a dynamic pickleball community. We arm pickleballers with the paddles, apparel, and accessories to dink like a ninja. Dink Ninjas is dedicated to supporting mental health awareness and cancer research. Shop our full lineup at dinkninjas.com.
So here's what happens with the Rundown with Rubio. Every day I do these. I cover 5 different news stories. Everything happens for a reason. That's one. Number 2, there are winners and losers of life. These are the pillars of the Rubio method. Accept and embrace. You'll hear me say it all the time. Working hard is not enough, and confidence is the key. These are my morals of life, and these are also the pillars of the Rubio method.
Robin Sielert, welcome to the show, buddy. It has been years. I know we linked up again over the phone probably about 6 months ago. It's great to have you on, man. So we heard your bio, dude. I know you're still living in the Olympia area.
Yep.
So we'll just kick this off, man. So I have a theory about this.
So I'm still laughing about your reaction to most considers right as right of center. You're just like, oh, not just right of center.
It is, but am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong,
no,
please.
Dude, absolutely. Dude, I bought into it. Like, I mean, not the politics, but the ideology, because you got to be the best. It was ruinous on my mental health in a lot of ways, but like, I wish I'd navigated that better. But you gotta embrace it. You're not just using strength and masculinity to protect, which is what I think its use is. You're using it to kill, to fight. And it's a weird circle to square. But anyway, I was just still laughing about that. But yeah, let's get into it, man. It's your show.
I did a really shitty job last week of reading Dave's bio. So I'm like, well, I want to make sure this one's good to go. And I kind of worded it so it was me talking, not Dave talking. And I seen it to begin with, but I was like, an organization he thinks may be considered right. Fucking right center my ass, dude. Like, that's the most fucking right-leaning organization on the planet.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I have a theory, man. I want to run by you. So, like we just said, Rob sits on one end and I sit on another. And Rob has sent me comments about my prior podcasts on how he sees things. We're going to talk about some of that. So, when this kid did this shooting this weekend, and I'm just going to hit this one because it's fresh in my mind.
Oh yeah.
I was sitting on the couch and I was talking to my wife, and it was like a fucking wrecking ball hit me, dude. I was like, holy shit. So, take social media in this country, right? And then just keep that in the back of your mind. If you go to the Middle East, we have what we call madrasas. And in madrasas, they pull these younger kids in and they groom these kids for 10 to 12 years until they're about 16 to 20 years old. And they strap an S-vest on them and they send them into a crowd and they hack themselves off. And that's martyrism. So this kid has been indoctrinated by social media for 10 years of his life. And instead of an S-vest, we give this dude a rifle. And so and then I was like, well, maybe I might be off a little bit. And then I seen a couple photos from the RNC last night. For those of you who don't know, the RNC is going on everywhere. Unless you're living in a fucking hole, you wouldn't know that. But it's in Milwaukee, and there's a poster board outside that's got this crook's face on it, and it says an American hero. And that's martyrism. Right. But that's what I'm getting at. Like, we have taken, it doesn't matter what medium you use. We have changed in this country from taking suicide vest and S-vest off of a child or a young adult and putting a gun in his hand. And he's still a martyr. Like, the fucking kid is still a martyr. Like, it blows my mind how, like, am I off here? Does that sound like it's fucking crazy?
So my first thought for a lot of this too is like, I don't necessarily want to go down his political ideology, which we don't know. It seems like there's some conflicting information, but like, at the end of the day, we have a massive problem with young men, listlessness, just, the incel community, like all this stuff, just like young men are sold a lie really early on about like what they're supposed to have or what they're supposed to be or how they're supposed to live. And they get to this point where I think they just lose hope that like any of this is going to pay off or something, or they opt out. Right. And that's what I feel like this kid did. He just opted out of society in some way. And then I see shit like that. Like, dude, this, I've made no bones about it. I do not like Trump at all. I think I do not agree with almost every policy that he has. I don't think he was a particularly good president. I don't think he's a particularly good person. But I don't want any of our politicians, dude, we were political violence. You know what I mean? That's what we were.
Completely agree.
Like, I don't want that happening to our politicians of any stripe. It has no place. And then you got this kid, because everyone has their little jokes and, oh, wish he hadn't missed, whatever. I think it's tasteless. I think it's mostly harmless. It's a joke. But like the people who have that poster board up, stuff like that, I'm just like, no, dude, no. Like that. I don't like the guy. I would, to be frank, if he had a coronary and was done natural causes, I wouldn't shed a tear. I'm not gonna lie. But
So
I don't want this. It's not right, and it should not be embraced, celebrated, supported in any way.
I completely agree. And we've had this conversation before.
Yeah.
I cannot stand Joe Biden. That dude's been corrupt for 50 years. It didn't start when he took over fucking presidency.
What?
But he's fucking 80 years old, man. And then you got Trump. I like Trump. I like Trump's policies. I just wish he would shut the fuck up. Right. And I think that would help him out immensely. However, you're telling me in a country of 350 million motherfuckers, the two best things we can do are two fucking 75 plus year old men. Like that is where I'm like, come on, man. Like you've got to be fucking kidding me.
It's sad, you know, like I kind of feel like I was talking to a buddy of mine who's like, well, I can't vote for the other guy. He's a Republican. Right. And I was just like, well, don't vote at all. And there was just this part of me that was like, I almost feel the same way about Biden. I mean, like to be frank, I think he's actually done pretty all right as president. Like not a train wreck. I think it kind of makes me
on that one 1,000%.
But let me put it this way. I think as much as the left, and I think we got some things right about Trump and transfer of power and lots of other shit. But like the point I'm getting at is we thought the world was going to end tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like it's over. And to be frank, I feel like you guys on the right have been saying the same thing about Biden. Dude, we're here 4 years later almost. Country's not gone. We're doing okay. Like it's that kind of thing where it was like, remember when Obama became president and everyone was like, oh, that's it. They're coming to take all of our guns right now. What happened? Like, remember Jade Helm? You remember Texas? They thought Obama was coming.
Oh, yeah. For those of you that don't,
my point being is, I don't think it's either as good or as bad as it's each side made it out to be.
No. You're correct, right? And so to address the Jade Helm thing, so Jade Helm was a basically mission name that came out. I don't know, fuck year was that, dude?
2015 was the one when
no, I was retired by then, but it was before that. It was when
it was like 2014, 2015 was the year. I actually just listened to a podcast on it. It's why it's fresh in my brain. But yeah, people thought that because Texas was labeled like, you know, a red state. I mean, you and I, we played these games. It's all make believe.
I was a part of that. I went down there. We went down there when I was. What year was that, dude?
Was that when we were on the team together?
I don't think you guys were on the team.
I think it was like right before. But
I think it was too.
But it was this big military exercise.
Correct.
You know, UW.
Like 7 states.
Yeah, taking over. You know, you take over another government, and locals got riled up, mostly by Alex Jones, but like riled up and really thought like Obama was coming to take their guns, and it was just like, dude, like it didn't happen. You know.
So I disagree, and I think this is the problem I have with this entire presidency, man. There's 3 really big things I have a problem with this presidency. The first thing I have a problem with it is that we've let what could be the number of 20 million people that we don't have a fucking clue who they are in this country. That to me has no fucking that to me has no there's no reason that should have ever gone on. Right. That to me is the first thing that really just torques me, is that nobody wanted to address it. Right. But I've also, the next thing is that we want to pay off, in my opinion, we want to buy votes by paying off people's student loans. So I seen this meme the other day, and it's like, my body, my choice. I want to choose to have an abortion. That's fine. I'm not against that. Like, I have a theory on abortion. I'm going to piss a lot of motherfuckers off that I know by saying this. But I'm going to save that for another 20 seconds from now. But we are buying votes by saying, hey, I'm going to pay off your student loans for you. Right. And I think if it's my body, my choice, and it's your fucking student loan, like it's called personal responsibility and personal accountability. Right. Why are you getting a $250,000 loan that you know you can't pay back? right? Why are you investing? I went to college in fucking 2016, and I watched a lot of kids play football that were like, I'm going to walk out of here with zero debt. I watched a guy work 2 fucking jobs while he played football so that he could walk out of college with zero debt. So if you want to go hang out at Columbia University and pay a gazillion dollars on a fucking degree that's worthless, then that's fine. But here's the responsibility of taking that loan out, right?
Yeah.
And here's my abortion catch. Like, I think that it's being used as birth control. I do not have a problem if it's the whole rape, incest, that bullshit. I get it, man. I completely understand that. I also understand that in the first 6 to 8 weeks, if you decide to get an abortion, I am fine with that. But if you push it past the fucking 8-week mark, you're just a fucking cunt. Period. There's no way that's 8 weeks. In 8 weeks, you can overthrow a fucking country. Right.
So I was like, hey, tell me how you really feel.
I've never held back, Rob. So what I do want to ask you is, I cut a podcast 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago now. That was called Rulings and SCOTUS, and you made a comment about the immunity one. I want to hear I want to have that conversation.
Yeah. What did dude, so much has happened. I'm just like,
so it was the immunity one where, so basically, I pulled all this up in notes, and it was a pain in the ass to read those. If you've never read a ruling by the Supreme Court, it's like fucking written in like proper English. So like Chat GPT gave that thing the fucking work over, dude. And so how I read it was that basically what they're saying is that, hey man, you're right. At some point, the president has to have an immunity in official duties. But there's a Gorsuch did put in there. There is a point in that needs to, right. It's not everything. He cannot do whatever the fuck he wants. He can official duties come to a certain spot. So I had an argument with an old team sergeant that I worked with in the Philippines years ago, Casey Melton. Shout out to Casey. And if he watches this, and he said, oh, this is fucking bullshit. They gave Trump fucking total immunity. And my thing was this: if they hadn't given him immunity, how many lawsuits on Monday would have come out against Bush and Obama?
So that's kind of I think maybe that's where we sort of disagreed mainly, was also, and I haven't read it to be fair, but lawsuits, the government's already protected by and large from lawsuits in many ways, right? And I'm not saying that, like, it wouldn't be a waste of people's time to have to get these thrown out, etc. I don't really think this was about lawsuits, though. I feel like that's like a little bit of a straw man argument, if I'm being honest. Like, I think this is more, I listened to a podcast on it, and they were talking about Sotomayor's, like, rebuttal. What's the word? Dissent. Yeah. And, basically, it might have been a little, I'm not a legal scholar. Might have been a little over the top, talking about having SEAL Team 6 assassinate people. But I think she was trying to make it a point, But what I'm getting at is, I think it goes into what I view as, and I feel like this really started with Bush 1, or no, sorry, Bush 2, the president, we were serving under. And
yeah, I agree. I know where this is going.
Executive power, man. It just kept getting pushed. And I feel like granting immunity for that, with what you could call an official duty. I mean, it's like, dude, we'll go back to Clinton. Well, it depends on what the definition of is. You're telling me that some president isn't going to be able to go, well, it depends on what an official duty is. You know what I mean? And just be able to justify almost anything. Because I feel like that's sort of the point we're at. And honestly, with where the Supreme Court's at right now, it's not just me. I'm not the only person who feels like this. Their approval rating is in the gutter. I mean, they went from probably one of the highest, most respected institutions, that we've had in our history, I would argue. Like, everyone's always like, well, we got the courts. I don't know we have that right now. I feel like we got a bunch of corrupt, very political.
Okay, so like there were 2 other rulings on, like, the bump stock ruling. So and in my opinion, the bump stock ruling and the Chevron ruling were both the same ruling. They were a ruling that said They were the same ruling. In that ruling, it said, listen, Congress, you want to ban fucking bump stocks? Make a fucking law. Quit making unelected bureaucrats make your laws for you because you're too fucking scared to sit in Congress and make them yourselves.
Yeah,
that's how I.
And this is the kind of thing, like, this is some of the stuff I want to talk about, right? Like, this is an area where I feel like we agree way more than we disagree on this one.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, do I like that there's an EPA that's making sure my drinking water is clean? Absolutely. Do I think Congress should have the bandwidth and the ability to work together to pass a law that makes sure my water stays clean? Absolutely. That is what we should. That is what we should be doing. You know what I mean? Instead, we got well-meaning, I would say, by and large, you and I were government employees. We were government servants. You know what I mean? I like to think most of us were just trying to do the best job we could. I like to think that of most of our other government employees. Not everyone's going to agree with that take, but I'm just saying, I think most people are just trying to do good in the world, you know? And so they're trying to protect us or help us or whatever. But yeah, you get political ideologies thrown in there, right or left, either way. You get, regulations, all this stuff. Congress should be doing that. But we're living in a world where Congress doesn't do shit. Like, literally, I
fucking agree with you 100%.
Completely 100%. Just, and that's, if what comes out of the Chevron doctrine overturn, right, gets to Congress actually doing some shit, I know there's going to be shit that gets passed I don't like. I totally understand that. Like, I get that. That's politics. There's going to be times where there's Republicans in the majority, whatever. But at least we're doing something. I mean, as long as it's not, gross civil liberties being overrun and all this. But like, if they pass a law, it means, hey, water's got to be clean and it's measurable and enforceable and all that other good stuff. I would be a happy man. But we're not doing that right.
Here's an instance of the Chevron doctrine and what just went on in Idaho. So about 4 weeks ago now, I think it's about 4 weeks ago, farmers were all sent a letter, a water curtailment letter. So how that works is Idaho is one of those drier states, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everything is put into canals or cisterns, like underground cisterns. And they're all measured. All these natural cisterns have a measurement device in them. So 2 farmers broke it down and they were like, hey, 2 years ago, we lost a lot of water, man, because we had a drought. Then last year, we added a lot more water to the cistern because of the way that we decided to farm the land. And we all collectively decided to do this. So this is what pisses me off. So they curtail 500 million acres. That's 500,000. I'm sorry. Yeah, 500,000. 500,000 acres. 500,000 acres worth of farmland. But on the other side of the county line, there's a cobalt mine that could never. Now, cobalt, I didn't know this. I had to look it up and research, but cobalt uses a massive amount of water to mine it. I did not know that. And they were only by law able to run 8 hours a day because they use so much water. Well, when you curtail 500,000 acres of farmland that can't use any fucking water, the next week, that cobalt mine was given the go-ahead to run 24/7. That is the stuff that pisses me off. Like, we're going to put these farmers. Oh yeah, I can pull up the podcast. I can pull up the news articles, and I can pull up the fucking.
Oh, that wasn't in disbelief. That little eyebrow. That was in like, I mean, if you're telling me that governments, including ours or local governments, state governments, just might happen to screw over the little guy to help big business, how are you? Are we both Democrats right now? I don't understand. Like, you know what I mean? Like at least the Democratic Party I grew up with, right?
There's a center line, and we set on the opposite side of it, but we are not so opposite side of it that we can't go, well, this is fucked up. I can plainly see this is fucked up. This is the problem I have. How in the fuck can 2 retired Army Special Forces E8s go? Okay, I might not agree with that, but how do we come to a middle ground? I don't agree with that. But how do we come to a middle ground? Oh, fuck, I agree. We both agree there. Like, we have 439 sitting members in the House of Representatives, and those motherfuckers can't get shit passed. Nothing. We haven't passed a budget since 1996.
Dude, we could go all day. Citizens United, big money in government. Like, there's so many ways we could get to how we got here. I don't like both sidesism in the sense of I don't like it when we've both done this. Both parties have pushed,
Correct.
To get more noise, to get more engagement. We could go down social. There's so many ways we can go down, but I think there's a lot of people who've talked about that already. So I don't want to like recap a whole bunch of other people's thoughts, but like,
what do you think about term limits on what I have a theory on
Dude,
Congress and how I would
term
do it.
limits should be enacted right now on the Supreme Court, on Congress, on representatives, like, and or maximum retirement age for everybody, 75. Call it 75. I feel like that's like if you are going to be 75 at the end of your last term, like you don't get to run. There's an age limit of when you can run. You can't run as an 18-year-old. Why can't we put that cap on top? We have an entire octogenarian, practically, government right now that's doing nothing but ripping money and future away from our children right now to pay for whatever they want right now, because they're not going to be around. Look, man, I'm not going to sit here and be like, Nancy Pelosi, love her or hate her, whatever. Like, she's been a strong Democrat, and I appreciate that. Just like baseline like that. But like, lady, all this stuff you may be passing, you're going to be dead before you feel any of these ramifications.
Correct.
And that is messed up to me. And I feel like we owe it to our kids, to the next, even if you don't have kids, don't you want the next generation to like have a future? Do you know how hopeless most young people are when you talk to them right now? I mean, it's an epidemic, dude. They're not, they either they're like climate change and like the world's going to be on fire. On the right, it's like everything's going woke and everyone hates me because I'm a white guy. Like, I mean, it's like I feel like you might not agree with one side or the other, but I feel like it's pretty universal. Young kids right now are just like, everything's screwed. Like, why even invest in the future?
So I had this conversation when I was in the UAE with another dude that was contracted. No, was he contracted? I don't remember what he was doing. Maybe he was on like reserve duty or some shit. But either way, I said fucking term limits, and I was strong, just like everyone else. Fucking term limits, and he was like, "Fuck that." And so he talked to me. He talked to me, and I was like, "Oh man." So I've marinated this for about, I think that was 2019, so about 5 years now.
Yeah.
So here's what I say: fuck term limits. Term limits don't do shit. You still walk away a gazillionaire on $150,000 salary. So this is the deal. If you pass the Affordable Care Act, motherfuckers, that's your insurance plan. You passed it, you earn it.
I do not disagree with this.
if you fucking, all your money that you get for donations from super PACs and all that bullshit, Mr. Bernie, you notice how Bernie Sanders doesn't say millionaires and billionaires anymore? He just says billionaires because he's a fucking millionaire now. All that money that's given to those fuckers, guess what, dude? It goes into an escrow account, and you can't ever touch it. When you leave Congress, guess what, dude? That money doesn't go to you. You can donate a certain percentage to different charities. Give a fuck less, but you don't get to keep any of that fucking shit. Now the money is out of it. 2, you cannot, you or your immediate family members. So that would mean me, my wife, my daughter, my mom, my dad, my sister, her husband, and any siblings and their fucking spouses, no trading on the fucking stock market. Fucking zero. You lock your fucking accounts. You
100%.
cannot trade.
100%.
Next, if you can't pass a fucking budget, you're unelectable. You cannot run for re-election. End of story. And so I said this, and some guys, they would all get kicked out. That's not how Congress works. Everybody's on a fucking 1/3 system, right? So, hey man, you can't pass. We have not had a budget in 28 years. 28 fucking years. So guess what? If you cannot pass a budget, and this is the deal, if you have to cut some social programs or you have to cut some of fucking this, like, hey man, it is what it is. Sorry, right? There's no fucking retirement out of Congress. You don't get shit. When you leave Congress, bye, thanks for your civil service, right? So what I'm saying is not term limits. I'm saying de-incentivize it.
Yeah, that's a great, that I say yes and. You know what I mean? Like why not both? Like I got no problem with both happening, but I think yours is a bit more of an elegant solution, might be harder to enforce, but I've also had that same thought of why are any of these people able to trade on the stock market? They got insider information that's illegal outside of Congress, right? It's absolutely ridiculous. They get in there, and I think, just like anything else, power corrupts. I think a lot of these people get in for great reasons, and it takes a very strong person to keep to those reasons once they're in. Plus, I'm sure there's like, it's like anything else, right? It's like being an SF. Try explaining it to like a person who's rode a desk their whole life. You know what I mean? Like they can kind of understand it, but they don't understand it. And I feel like honestly, being like a senator or a representative is probably somewhat similar, where it's like, hey man, you think you're going to be, what's his name? Mr. Smith goes to Washington, and then you get there and you get pulled in the back rooms and you get shown how shit actually happens, and you're like, oh shit, this is what's going on. Oh, okay, so I just got to step in line, right? I mean, like whatever that is, I'm sure that it's not.
And I think, like as much as Marjorie Taylor Greene runs her fucking mouth, and I like what she stands for, I just wish she would shut the fuck up. But I like when she went on Tim Pool like 4 years ago, and she came out and said, listen, when we vote on stuff in Congress, there may only be 30 people that actually vote on that bill. So here's another thing. Listen, bitch, you don't get to miss a vote. You don't get to fucking stain, because you're only doing that shit so you can keep your reelection going. Pick. Yeah. There's a fucking law. Pick. You're either for it or you're against it.
If it made it all the way to the floor, it's been through the committees. It's been through all this stuff. People have looked at it. Everybody votes. Yeah, I think these are all like, and the crazy thing is, Nick, is none of this is like, we're not two like political geniuses who agree, right? Like for the most part, this is stuff that's like, yeah, we probably heard some of it from people smarter than us on various podcasts or reading some books. Some of it's just our own thought of like, well, what makes sense? What is a common sense approach to this? Oh, maybe don't let them be 87 in office. Like
I have
maybe don't let them trade stocks on the company they just decided to deregulate completely, so they know they're going to have a huge boom. Like. Oh God, what are these crazy ideas we're coming up with, man? Like.
So I follow Elizabeth Warren. God bless her soul, dude. I love that woman.
She is. So
I absolutely love her on Twitter, dude. I love her tweets.
I want to caveat, like after this, I want to get back to some of the stuff I sent you in the email. Like I want to go over some stuff if you don't mind, but go through this.
I can't. She fucking sends all this shit. There's two one representative and one senator I absolutely love. Elizabeth Warren and Eric Swalwell. So Elizabeth Warren is like, we should go after Apple and break that shit up. And my comment back to her on Twitter is, bitch, why are you not looking at BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street? Those three fucking companies own 80% of the stock market, and they own controlling stock in almost every company in America. BlackRock itself is worth $30 trillion. The only fucking country that has a bigger GDP than BlackRock is the US. What do they have? They have assets in 50 countries, and they have dealings in 130. Why are we not breaking up BlackRock?
When I was going through the Honor Foundation, it's this veteran transition foundation. You ever heard of it? It's like, for special operators. Great thing.
I've seen a lot of guys on LinkedIn with it now.
Anybody think about getting out who's tied us off, like go do it, do yourself a favor, or do any of them. They're all great, but THF is like, that's what I went through. I love it. But they had like some dude from BlackRock, and I wanted to ask the question, like, how do you feel working for probably one of the most evil corporations on the planet? Like, and I mean, evil is like a very pejorative term, but I just mean like money doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like they got one job, make money. They don't care about anything else. And there's a purity to that, but it's not good for the world writ large,
Dude, so I said this comment and some dude writes, you're a fucking Jew hater. What the fuck? I didn't know what he was talking about. So I looked it up. BlackRock is 100% Jewish owned, and Larry Fink, the CEO, is Jewish.
I mean, okay. It's so, like, I don't watch basketball very much.
That Jewish people own BlackRock. I could give a fuck less. I don't care. So my other favorite person is Eric Swalwell. I love Eric Swalwell when he talks. Oh, Trump is this horrible person. Bitch, you fucked a Chinese spy and you are still in Congress and you still have a security clearance.
Dude, how some people in Congress have clearances? Like you and I both know dudes who got like kicked out of the army because they like smoked a joint. I had to sit on a tribunal that was like this rigger, just be clear, parachute rigger. This kid smoked some weed. He's like 24, seemed like an all right kid. We booted him out. Dishonorable, no nothing. Just nothing. You know what I mean? Because those are the rules at the time. I felt pretty bad about it, but it's like, dude, that's it. This is pretty clear. that kid loses his clearance. You got people in Congress doing way more heinous shit than that, and they still got a clearance.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, even if it's not heinous, it's just like,
you fucked a Chinese spy, bro. A literal CCP knowing spy. You know, bitch, you know you were in bed talking about shit.
Yeah.
Don't
But
fucking
still
tell
got a
me
clearance
you
though.
weren't.
That's all good. Yeah. Let's keep that going.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
great. I'm
dude.
glad you still have a clearance, dude. Thank you. So anyway, back to some of the stuff that you sent me.
Yeah. So I had a couple things I want because I think, dude, when everyone right after the bullets whizzed by Trump, right? You know, one, that picture, like honestly, like I'll be talking about no hope. I see that picture, you know the one I'm talking about. The flag and the fist. I'm like, that dude just won. Like I don't like
That's the most iconic picture of your entire life.
if I take away all personal feeling about the guy, make that anybody. You make that anybody. You know what I mean? And I see that picture and I'm just like, all right, that's it, dude. Game's over. Like, how do you,
bro?
Like, especially Joe Biden. That
wasn't the most fucking savage thing you've ever seen in your life.
It's so good. It makes me want to go down conspiracy theory holes because it's so perfect. Like, you couldn't stage a photo that good. And I saw that, and I was just like, I was just like, dude, the game's over. Like unless they jettison Joe Biden and get in a new young person right now, like I honestly do not know if I say we, like, I don't know if the Democrats can win this election. Like,
dude.
But anyway, so
what was one of the most savage fucking things I have ever seen in my fucking life.
Dude, it was pretty baller. I'm not gonna lie. Like the dude had his moment and he took it. Like I got it. Like I'm gonna give him credit. Like he doesn't, you know, like and you know, like I already said my feelings on the guy. I do not like him, but bro, I mean,
from one SF guy to a fucking former president.
Dude, that's pretty solid. That's pretty solid. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like, but anyway, but everyone talks about let's turn down the rhetoric, and we already had this plan. We were already going to be talking about this, right?
Yeah, correct.
And that's what I was like, dude. Now more than ever, yeah, turn down the rhetoric. Like we can talk. So I wanted to get us on things like we agree on. And one of my first one is who was a presidential candidate from the past, not Republican, and I'll answer, you know, for not Democrat, that you would have voted for.
Michael Dukakis.
Yeah, what?
That guy, because he was the clean, in my opinion, that was the cleanest, most fucking scot-free, like zero dirt having him and Mike and Kitty Dukakis, in my opinion, to this day in 2024, still walk on fucking water. You cannot convince me worse. That guy has no scandals. He was like a statesman. He was a governor. His wife was just an amazing, eloquent speaker. And they got fucking snowballed in the end, in my opinion. And from the conspiracy bullshit I've read, and I don't know what of it's true or not, but they came at that dude and was basically like, we're going to put kitty porn on your fucking computer, dude. So we're going to get you one way or another. And that's how he ended up losing that election. But I'm telling you right now, if Michael Dukakis in the same age was to run against fucking Trump, bro, it'd be a hard sell for Nick Humble not to fucking vote for that cat, bro.
Yeah.
I have a lot of respect for Michael Dukakis.
Yeah, mine's an easy one, dude. John McCain. I mean, like,
you were a McCain fan,
dude. I mean, it's kind of that whole thing of politics or not. The dude served his country. How many? Kerry. I felt like this a little bit, but like, I mean, I just felt that honestly, when I look at the president, I see, is this person a servant? Do they want what is best for the country, almost no matter what? Right? Yeah, they might disagree with me on what they think, but at the end of the day, they want what is best for the United States. And I believe in his heart of hearts.
Did you vote for him?
Did I vote for him?
Did you vote for him or Obama?
I voted for Obama. But I would have voted for him if it wasn't Obama. I'll put it that way. You know what I mean? Well, part of that really was also Palin, dude. I could not, like, bro, like, get out of here with all that.
Too much baggage, dude.
Too
much.
Awful.
Okay,
so awful. But McCain, real American. Like, I mean, and I kind of hate saying that. I feel like that's like a loaded term, but I feel like that dude would bleed for the red, white, and blue. And he did.
He did.
You know what I mean?
I'll say this. I have the presidential VP pick of JD Vance has grown on me because I did probably 2 hours worth of reading about that guy today. However, my number one pick for VP, dude, was Tulsi Gabbard. I'm a huge Tulsi Gabbard fan. I think that Tulsi actually gives a fuck about this country. And she basically fucking ended Kamala Harris's fucking political career in 3 minutes on stage, which I applaud her for because I cannot stand Kamala Harris, like, at all. However, I thought I wanted to see Tulsi Gabbard get that nod.
Yeah. Yeah. I think JD Vance, like, again, you know, I'm trying to take some of the politics out of my thinking about this whole thing right now because it's just so loaded. And
at least he just served his country.
God, I come back to that so often now. I think we're at the historically like the lowest amount of veterans we have serving in any political office right now. I mean, fact check me on that, but I think it's if it's not the lowest, it's close.
Joe, you know who would know? Do you remember Jason Bacon?
No.
I think he was a 3rd Battalion guy, but Jason lives in Michigan and he now talks to vets. I'll give you his number, man. If you ever want to run for office, I'm not bullshitting you. If you ever want to run for office, get a hold of Jason. He may just support Republican candidates, but he may turn you to a guy that supports but he's a really good guy to talk to, man.
Yeah.
And he said the same exact thing you did. He said that. You're right. That's 100% truth. We are at the lowest veteran service in politics that we've ever seen.
Yeah. And I don't, so JD Vance, like, you know, whatever. I mean, it's probably pretty obvious how I feel about the guy in a lot of ways. Politically, dude served his country. I mean, he did a lot more. Dude, that's my whole thing with like a lot of these people. Like, you know, talking about my background, right? Dude, raised by 2 hippies, California. I'm still liberal as shit, right? Like, I am very incredibly socially liberal as well. Like, that's really kind of my more core is I just feel like if you're not hurting anybody, say that on my shit. But regardless, what I'm getting at is, but I still, dude, I was in Boston in 9/11, right? And I still served after that. I was like, this is something that's important. I'm not, oh, you know, hooray for me. I'm talking to another dude who was also in. Like, but point I'm getting at is all these people who talk about anything, they talk about war, they talk about protecting the nation. And I see these politicians and I'm just like, what's your excuse, dude? You had 20 years. You had 20 years to sign up. And you're what? You're my age. You're like 40 something, 50 something. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm 43, but I'm just saying, like, you're in that age where you could have joined the military. Correct. During a time of war to protect this country you love so much, and you didn't. Okay, like cool. Yeah, you think you got some, you know, moral majority like here going? Fuck off, dude. I'm not saying I don't respect any veteran, of course, but
for people that don't know, Rob and I were on a team for between 1431 and 1430, 3 years almost.
Yeah,
2.5, 3 years. And I don't think that me and Rob ever had like a knockdown drag out argument. Not once.
No, I think we got along like gangbusters, dude.
We pretty much were like, oh, okay. And Rob was very good at what he did. Rob was my intel guy and was fucking one of the best intel guys I ever had. He introduced our commander to the WTF. Motherfucker didn't know what that stood for. I'll never forget that shit, dude. WTF, sir. What's that stand for, Rob?
But had some good times, man.
I have always, and that's why when you reached out to me after my first podcast, you ever want somebody guys a liberal come on, like, fuck yeah, dude. I always got along with Rob, and we were on a team together, and we spent a lot of time together, and so what's another one you got, man? I know there's a couple of things you were talking about.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, this is one I thought might be interesting. It's really more of like a mental gymnastics, but dude, if not Trump, who? Like, who's your next pick? Like, who's because no matter what, in theory, Trump is gone. If he wins 4 more years, that's it. He's done. No more president for Trump, right?
Vivek Ramaswamy.
Yeah, you like him?
I like Vivek.
Okay.
I like Vivek. I think Vivek, this is why I like Vivek. He's a fucking self-made biotech billionaire. He did it on his own. Him and his wife are, in my opinion, squeaky clean, unless there's some shit that I don't know about. He was at Harvard. He was at Harvard. He thought Obama was, you know, he's like, and I don't hate Obama. I didn't particularly agree with some of the shit he did, but you're never going to make somebody fucking always happy. But I like Vivek. I don't think that my wife wants to fucking kill me because I tout Tulsi Gabbard a lot, but she's like, fuck her. And I'm like, I don't mind Tulsi. I actually think Tulsi has a good mind, but I've heard that there's a lot of people on the Republican Party that want nothing to do with her. And so I'm a Ron Swamy guy, man.
All right. And so same thing for me. I mentioned this to you the other day and you were like, fuck this guy. But like, honestly, I feel like Mark Cuban partly because he's like the anti-Trump. He's like,
oh, you're right. I can't argue with it.
Not a politician, charismatic, wears his heart on his sleeve, got money. He's got, cred. He's put time and effort into, trying to reduce prescription drug prices and stuff. I mean, I feel like he's kind of like, okay, well, what can we do to kind of catch some momentum back? And I feel like that's the guy, I mean, then it makes sense. Yeah. I think he gives us a good chance is what I would think.
Mark Cuban and a lot of those guys in that circle, I would consider Trump in that circle. At one point, those guys were all in that circle together. I think that circle seen what Trump has gone through and they're all like, fuck that. Nope. I want nothing to fucking do with it. Like even if there's the smidgen of fucking dirt in my background, I want absolutely, they'll go after, my fear with him is they'll go after him for having the whitest basketball team in the NBA, bro.
Yeah. I mean, so if I had to pick like a current guy as an actual politician, it'd be Gavin Newsom. Not because I necessarily love all of his policies, but bro,
fucking that guy out of all the people.
But he is tall. He is considered handsome from what I'm told. Like the dude, he's kind of got that Ronald Reagan thing of just like, what? You're not going to vote for me? Look at me. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll give it to you, man. A non-politician so I would have to choose a politician of that matter. Fuck, man, dude. I'll be honest with you, bro. I don't know if there's a politician that I would I don't think there's one. Maybe. Like I like Tim Scott, but he's too fucking nice. I listen to that guy. So I chose to go to Liberty because of what the school stands for. It's a conservative Christian college. And I had a great experience. I did both online and I did a biomechanics lab in a fucking physiology lab at Liberty. And so I listened to Tim Scott's Liberty commencement speech. And I like Tim Scott. I just think he's one of those guys like Ben Carson. They're just really nice dudes. Right? They're just really nice guys. And they're never going to win because they're just like, no, we're nice. Everything's cool. No worries. These are my views.
That's dude, for the team guys out there, if you know, you know. Really nice guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. Right? Exactly. But there is no other politician that's in government today that I'm like, oh, that guy fucking stands out. Like I would have said Christy Nome until she came out with the dog story.
Yeah,
we all know what happened, bitch, but you don't have to talk about it in your book.
So then there's a couple of things I wanted to throw at you. All right, you keep asking, well, why are people still buying beachfront property? Why are people still buying beachfront property?
Nick, you and your climate change. Here we go.
No, I would tell you why. No, I'm answering your question. We're not going to talk about climate change. I'm just going to answer your question. Let's just say, why are people still buying beachfront property? Why the fuck are people buying Tesla Cybertrucks? The stupidest.
You have a point.
Like, because we got dumb motherfuckers with too much money. That's why people are buying all that beachfront property.
You're 100% correct, dude.
Also, like, you're super rich. What do you care if that beachfront property is going to be gone in 10 years? Just as an example, you're fucking rich. Who cares? And you got too much money. You know,
I got nothing for you.
I'm just trying to answer your question. You've asked it like 4 times. I'm like, that's why. Dumb motherfuckers with money.
Like, well, we're buying beachfront property. Like, you do realize that Obama owns a fucking mansion on Martha's Vineyard. And for all that don't know, Martha Vineyard's a fucking island.
Beachfront property. So I wanted to answer that question. You know, I just wanted to get that. I just wanted to answer that one for you. You've asked it so much. I'm like, Nick, that's why. It's a simple equation. Why is anyone buying a Cybertruck when Rivian is out there? Like a vastly superior, better looking product. You got these people like, you know how much a Cybertruck costs? It's like the worst. It's awful. It's such a bad vehicle.
I don't know. How much is that truck?
$100,000, dude. Yeah. Easy. Yeah. So yeah, people buy beachfront property. Yeah, they probably own a Cybertruck too.
It's like owning a Prius. Well, we bought a Prius because it's, it gets good gas mileage.
Hey, don't be bagging up Prius owners. It gets good gas mileage.
Yeah, there we go. There it is. There's the good gas mileage. All right, what else you got, man?
The left. I'm a conservative. I get dogged on now. I'm what's her Girano, whatever her name is, and says I live in Nazi Germany, so she gets fired from a TV show, right? Some dumbass shit. And I feel like the right has pulled this narrative. Let me tell you about being a liberal in the military. All right.
Well, there's that.
You know what I mean? Bro, I have been told 20 years apart of each other almost that I'm the enemy of America. I'm sitting there in the back of an LMTV in SFQC, talking to some guys, just doing the, and I'm not being combative. I'm not like, you're dumb because you don't believe that welfare is okay. I'm just like, yeah, dude, I grew up on welfare. You know what I mean? Like, I think social programs have a really good spot in our, like in our democracy. Like, I think they can do a lot of good. And I think that, sometimes like I'm a Democrat and this kid looks at me, both of us sitting there training to do the same thing. And he's like, you're the problem with America. I'm like, cool. Thanks, man. Awesome. Yeah. Love it. So glad that I'm here, and then 20 years later, and this is during COVID times, I have a good buddy of mine. We had some drinks and, we're in Thailand at the time, our life's way different than it was back here. We're just shooting and I'm just like, yeah, dude, I don't know. Like they got all these rules, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I'm listening to the scientists because I'm a leftist. So I'm like kind of, buying into the left's part of this. Right. And he just looks me dead in the eye and he's like, you're the problem with America. And I'm just like, bro, we've known each other like 3 years. I've gone to war. Like we both gone to war. I'm the problem. Like, dude, like what? And that is what I get like pretty often. It's like one of those things where it's just like,
I don't think I even knew that you were liberal when the whole time we were on a team together.
You think I didn't learn like that first time? Like I kept that shit under wraps the rest of my career.
I knew that you were. I knew you were not I knew you were not running out voting for fucking Mitt Romney. Right?
Yeah,
I knew.
Yeah, but like, I mean, I kept my political stuff a lot more close to the vest after those first couple of years because I got beat up all the time. This is after, dude. I joined after 9/11. I signed up to go to war, and dudes are telling me that like I don't love America. I'm just like. And that's what I really wanted to get is to why can't the left be patriotic too? Dude, I can't fly a flag because I live in Olympia. My family doesn't want me to fly an American flag out front because legitimately, and they're not somewhat wrong about this, we might get someone throwing a rock. Like I'm not even fucking lying. And I hate that. I hate that part of the left right now. And I feel like that is, and I mean, that's like the far left. We're talking Antifa stuff that I don't claim that.
Bro, it's the same. So earlier, I should have saved that fucking tweet. I fucking knew it. So earlier this week, some fucking chick that posts a lot of fucking stuff on Twitter. And I follow both. I get a lot of libs and a lot of fucking conservatives. I follow everyone.
Sure.
So she puts on there like, oh, fucking, it's treason and fucking this is Article 4, Section 4 of the U.S. Constitution. And it's like treason and blah, 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 blah. And I wrote, this is the dumbest fucking meme I've ever seen. Like, and you know why I know that? Because I present to you Article 4, Section 4. And I copy and paste because I literally fucking have the U.S. Constitution app right there on I can open it up. There is the entire motherfucking Constitution.
I can read it for myself.
So I post it and some fucking chick comes out and says something like, oh, so here, you know what? I'm just going to fucking pull it up. Fucking chapter 4. It's called the states. So Article 4 is the states. And they were talking about Section 4, the Republican government. That's what it's called. Section 4, Republican government. So I copied that Section 4, Article 4, the states, Section 4, the Republican government, and then I put it on there. And it says like the United States shall guarantee every state of the Union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion and on application of the legislature or of the executive when the legislative cannot be convened against domestic violence. So I post that and some lady comes back. It doesn't say fucking Republican. We're a republic. Like, bitch, it says Republican like fucking 35 times in the Constitution. Like, how about you just go to the app and fucking read it? Like, shut the fuck up. And this is my problem with the left and the right, is both of these motherfuckers want to say, well, this is what it actually means. No, motherfucker, it's not what it actually means. How about you pull the fucking thing up and read it? They have an app for it. I read it daily.
It's on your phone, bro. It's not that hard to find. You know?
Yeah, oh, dude, it floors me. It's like, when you do this, you're no better than the left going, well, this is not what the Constitution, blah, blah, blah. This is not what it says. Well, you just gave hyperbolic language of treason, and the word treason isn't even in Article 4, Section 4. And then some dude's like, well, the fucking subsection, like, there is no subsection, dude. There's no subsection in that. It's literally like 30 words. The paragraph's like this fucking big. It fucking pisses me off, dude.
Look it up.
I understand where you're coming from.
So my point with that is really too, is just to some, you know, like, bro, most of my friends are like you. They're military. They are right leaning. A lot of them. I'm friends with all of them still. Don't like, just let's all be a little, like, I know this is like a platitude, but like, dude, let's all be a little nicer to each other. Like no joke. Like, just like, dude, just because you meet someone who I know it's hard if it's like someone who's super Antifa leaning or super MAGA, like, I get that. But dude, the huge section right in the middle, like, let's all like tone it down and calm down. Like, you might be talking to a dude and we're talking, you don't know me, and you're like, oh yeah, liberals just hate America. And I'm like, you see my Purple Heart plate, bitch? You know what I mean? Like, you know, oh yeah, I hate this country so much because I think we should, like, I don't know, let gay people marry and have welfare. Like, oh yeah, fuck America. That's what that means. Like, so we got that. And I know we may be running long. I don't know if you got that.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
But like, I got a couple of other. Let me see. I had two other things I wanted to talk to you about.
Hit them, dude. We got time.
So, shit. Now I just lost my train. Oh, dude, the Republican Party. All right, you see that Trump baby shit?
No, I haven't seen. Oh,
dude, the Ice Ice baby with Amber Rose.
No, I haven't seen that,
dude. But so it leads me into my next thing, which is, now, typically speaking, your average Republican, let's say, probably a little on the older side. I do think the demographic is shifting to a degree. But I do think that as the older generation dies off, you will probably see the Republican numbers overall dwindle a bit. What do you want to see, like, or how do you think the Republican Party, you know, stays relevant with the younger generation? Which, dude, from my eyes, granted, I'm in, you know, Olympia, right? But when I was in Thailand, I saw a whole different set of the younger generation. And I'm seeing these kids that were in the army. I mean, how do you sell the Republican Party to a younger audience? Because I think, honestly, if you don't get a message that resonates with them, like, how do you see that going? And not to say you're necessarily like this huge Republican, but you know what I'm saying. Like,
I'm going to throw out what I've read on Twitter over the last 3 days. So there's been 3 girls, probably 20s, mid 20s, maybe mid 30s. It's been 10 years. So they were in college, and they've all said roughly the same thing. They were like, 2012, I graduated with a degree, so that would make them 22.
Like 22,
so they're probably
2012, so like 34.
They're
mid-30s,
right? Between 28 and 30, right? 32, sure. Somewhere in that age, roughly 30, give or plus a couple years. And their rhetoric, what I seen was this. And you mentioned mental health in your email with me.
Yeah,
so
dude.
The reason I think that men's mental health is in a fucking shitbag right now is because for the last 35 fucking years, men have been told that we aren't needed, that we don't give a fuck, that we're fucking toxic, that we're fucking bullshit, that we need to fucking kill each other, that we need to kill ourselves, that women are fucking boss bitches, that women can run fucking everything, and that men aren't fucking needed. But in the grand scheme of things, the only time that argument gets based is when they're talking about the fucking C-suite at BlackRock. I don't see anybody that fucking whole equality thing does not come to play when you're talking about fucking plumbers, truck drivers, fucking bricklayers, military members. None of that shit matters. Feminists only fucking bitch and complain when they can't have the fucking C-suite upstairs and make fucking $500,000 a year. When it comes to doing manual labor, they want nothing to fucking do with it. So what I've seen these women talk about is they're like, and it's funny, man, all three of them were like, at some moment, I had a clarity of like, baby, I'm being fucking lied to about some shit. And they're like, one girl was like, when Trump, I don't even know how to say this. She was like, when Trump got shot, this feral hormone came out of me. And I was like, that's what I fucking want. That is what I fucking want in a man. Somebody that's going to get the fuck up, throw his fist in the air and be like, I'm going to come skull fuck everybody. And so when Jen seen that, my wife, and you've met Jen a couple times, I think.
Yeah, back in the day.
Very petite girl, fucking is a psychologist, is a fucking applied behavior analyst, works with autistic kids. Like that is her fucking life's work. And she's like, of course you want a strong man. Like when push comes to shove, you want the motherfucker that's going to stand up and start throwing blows. And
but she married you, shockingly.
I think we've gotten away from what we were calling toxic masculinity. Wasn't toxic masculinity. It was this push to fucking dumb down fucking men. And after 30 years, you've created an entire generation of kids that are like in disdain. They have no idea what way is up. The suicide rate is fucking through the roof. So, and like when you and me were kids, because we're 3 years apart, when we were kids, if we got picked on at school, we got picked on from fucking 8:30 to 3:30. That was it. When we left at 3:30, we could go the fuck home and get away from it. These kids are picked on and bullied 24/7, 365 because their parents do not have accountability. And so what we've done is created this fucking whirlwind of just shit. Because social media is a deep, dark fucking scamming hole, bro.
Yeah.
That's where I see that shit, man. And why we have the problems we have. And I don't know how to get us out of it, dude. I think the only way to get us out of it is to start. People have got to realize that toxic masculinity is not fucking toxic. Masculinity is masculinity. When push comes to shove, this is what you want.
I find myself saying this a lot. Like, I think like toxic masculinity is like that old definition of like pornography or obscenity. Like, you know it when you see it. Right. And
yes,
so it totally exists. Like toxic masculinity absolutely exists. It is a real thing. They're called assholes. They exist. Like
100%, dude. 100%.
Rapping, and I think we're seeing a sea change, and I'm really hoping. And there's this guy I listen to a lot, Scott Galloway, and he talks a lot about the younger generation, especially men. And it's not a zero-sum game. There was a lot you said. I don't want to pick apart every little thing. You're like, oh, feminists only complain when they can't make 500,000. I think that's a little bit of a generalization.
You don't see anybody fighting to be a fucking plumber and equal rights there, bro.
But my point being, what I want to say is that there's, I'm hoping the younger generation can start to take back masculinity. And I kind of hit it when we were first talking, when I said they're using masculinity to protect. Like that's what its point is. Masculine traits, I think, are there to protect society, to protect people who can't protect themselves. And then when you get to an organization like SF, you kind of have to turn that dial up. You're not just protecting anymore, Correct. But you turn that dial down and you've got these wonderful attributes that men, I'm a leftist. I'm going to say not just men, but people who lean into those masculine traits of protection, strength. Those are good things. And I think we've lost that thread, and I'm hoping we get that back as a society. I do think we would probably differ in the sense that that's going to be people who are like, oh, so just two genders, right? And I'm like, no, dude, like that's not where I'm going with this. But my point being is masculinity as an identity, I feel like really has been under fire for a very long time. Some of it deserve it. Some of it needs to be called out. But that doesn't mean that masculinity in and of itself is a bad thing. It's a wonderful thing. And anybody can have masculine traits, just like everybody has feminine traits. I mean, they're just, I think at the end of the day, they're just called traits. You know what I mean? It's called being human. I've known men who are very affectionate and caring and loving, things you would call feminine, and then they would beat your ass later. Like it just is what it is, But I think you're right. But I guess my question was is like, okay, so how do you, like, as a Republican, like, or a conservative, like, how do you sell that,
I think
that
it's got to be
message?
actions, dude. So in my theory, I think it has to be actions.
Yeah.
I think you have to show that, like, if Trump comes into office and inflation starts to come down and he fucking like starts to take away some of the bullshit, like, bro, I'm over giving money to fucking Ukraine. I don't give a fuck how bad you think Russia is. I'm over giving money to fucking Ukraine. Guess what? Obama started this shit when he gave Crimea away in the first fucking place. We had this argument in First Group 20 years ago when it was, hey, Arroyo, the former president of the Philippines, was like, we're going to give Southern Mindanao to the fucking terrorists. And we were like, oh, the fuck you are. Because once you start that shit, it's never going to fucking stop. Well,
Give a mouse a
what do you
cookie.
do? Fucking Ukraine was like, Obama talked Ukraine into fucking seceding that to Russia. And all that did was fucking start a downward spiral of, well, what else can we take? So fuck you. You caused it yourself. Zelensky's a fucking ass clown. And fuck that whole country. I don't give a shit. Right? I don't. I'm over giving money to some of these fucking guys. Like, why are we in this non-sustaining war? It's like, and this is my reason for saying that. Russia invaded fucking Afghanistan in 1980. They pulled out in 1989. And by 2001, we were back in there and guys were getting fucking killed and maimed. This is fucking Afghanistan 2.0. You mark my fucking words. The next Osama bin Laden is fucking Zelensky. Fucking hands down. We did the same shit. We gave all them fucking weapons to Osama bin Laden. We gave them all. We trained the fuck out of him, gave him weapons, and fucking let him have it. What are we doing with fucking Zelensky? The same shit.
I don't know if we got enough time to unpack all that, and I'm not a Ukraine expert. I'm like, that is some wild shit. I'm like, I don't know if I've heard that one. That's a lot. But like, so action, that's what you were getting at. You're saying like, okay, so what's the action?
Correct.
That shows,
it's
the younger generation.
The time for talking is over. The politicians have got to start actions. Actions will speak.
Okay. Yeah. Well, like we were talking about, like pass some fucking laws. Get some legislation across the finish line. Bipartisan. It's called compromise. When did compromise become a losing? It's wild.
Can we get more than one budget balanced in my lifetime? Just two. We've got one. Can we get two?
Nah, we can't. God, dude, I had so many things I want to talk about. Like, okay. Here's one. I'm gonna poke the bear a little bit on this one, bro. I've been listening to this podcast.
I appreciate that.
You guys, and I'll paint with a little bit of a broad brush. You and some of your guests, who I think are probably more in line with you than they are with me. You guys still talk about COVID like that shit is happening right now. Like you have scar tissue, and I get it. We all do, but like. I feel like it's a little bit where it's like, dude, 4 years later, if we're still bitching about Bush v. Gore, you know what I mean? Like, it's still that same thing. It's like, dude, it happened.
What have we talked about COVID? Refresh my memory on what we've talked about COVID before.
Bro, almost. Well, you and Rubio definitely did. You mentioned it quite a bit. A lot of it has to do with like lockdowns and business and, because a lot of guys you have on have businesses. You know what I mean? And I get it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're talking about like, but then, dude, like most of that was stuff enacted by the states. Then the Republicans are all about state rights. But like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I'm kind of just like, bro, like,
so
it happened. It's over. So also, you and Rubio, one last thing. And then you and Rubio also were like, well, I don't know anyone died of COVID. Like, dude, I do. You know what I mean? Like, that shit was real. Like,
I'm not saying that COVID wasn't real, right? I'm not.
I wasn't trying to say that. I was just saying you and Rubio were both like, we didn't know anybody who died. I'm like, well, I did. Shit happens.
What I was trying to do is so this is the thing, man. Like Rubio was like, I may lose my entire livelihood because of lockdowns.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. Like Clay Cloudwater, he was like, I couldn't get a fucking loan because it was COVID. And that guy has a successful brewery. Speaking of which, I'm fucked up because I haven't been up there yet. But that's why I talk about it, right? I want to know guys that had small businesses. It's not necessarily that COVID fucked you, but what I'm trying to push is that, hey, man, Clay had resiliency and did what he needed to do to get through that so he could come out on the other end. Rubio, how did you make it through COVID without losing your whole livelihood? Right. I disagree with a whole lot of shit that they did for that. Right. But I'm fucking over it. It's done. Right. The only thing I regret about fucking COVID is the fact that the US government fucking was like, you get a fucking vaccine or you can't work as a contractor. That's my biggest bitch. Right. And I say that because my fucking mom probably has dementia and has blood clots in her fucking lungs. And that shit's caused by the fucking vaccine. And she didn't get boosted. And that shit pisses me off. Right. We have every vaccine that's ever been given out since the beginning of time has been tested for 5 to 10 years. And I'm not saying that this is not just Biden. This is fucking Trump is just as guilty of this shit too.
He was the president at the time.
Fucking Anthony Fauci can kiss my ass. That motherfucker.
When your buddy Jay was like, "Where's the Fauci for birds?" I thought that was the funniest line, dude. That cracked me up hard. I was like, that's funny.
And that was my thing with the bird flu, right? Like, does the bird flu pick what bird that it infects? Because why are we only going after livestock birds? But
all right. Well, anyway. I didn't want to go down too far on the COVID hole. I felt like there was just like a lot of talk, and there was just a part of me that's like, dude, like, I mean, it happened. But now that you've explained it, I'm like, oh, okay, I get that a little better. I had such a wildly different experience. I was in Thailand for almost all of the Trump presidency and all of COVID. Bro, that country, the whole thing, lockdown. Everything, whole thing, whole country. I got put in for all right, I'll break my arm patting myself on the back, but a buddy of mine put me in for a little award because I worked with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to keep the borders open for U.S. government military exercises. I'll take a little credit. I was a big part of that. I helped with a lot of that.
They were like, fuck that. We're not letting anybody in or out.
Yeah. And we kept it going because we had such a strong relationship. We were able to keep it going. But dude, I lived in Bangkok, downtown Bangkok, Soi 8, not too far from Nana or Cowboy area you've probably been to. Super packed, right? Dude, I could walk down the middle of the road. Not a single person or a car. And I was only out because I worked at the embassy and I had a pass.
I know where that, and I know where all that's at. So damn.
Yeah. So when and then I look back at America and people are like, what do you mean I can't go into the grocery store? And I'm like, bro, we can't leave our house.
Yeah, but
no one could come. Like, so it was just a very different, my personal experience was just very different. You know what I mean? And like masking, we were wearing masks already, you know,
you got caught over there. Ryan Begley got caught in Malaysia. A good friend of mine, Brian Campbell, got caught in Bahrain. Bro, that motherfucker, dude, he talks like you talk. That motherfucker was like, bro, I was locked in my apartment. I'm like, and I had to order my food online, have it delivered.
Yeah,
for like months. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, months, dude. But yeah, it was wild. So it was just different.
I can't even imagine what that was like.
Yeah, it was wild. Like the streets of Bangkok, empty. Literally.
Anyone that's ever been there, it's driving in Bangkok is a fucking nightmare.
Oh yeah, it's. I actually didn't mind it that much, but there's a lot of traffic. It's so packed. Walking down the street, you're talking the sidewalks can fit 8 people, and most of the time you're elbow to elbow with everybody. Like that's how crowded it is. And so it was a huge shock to the system. And we were already wearing masks because of like pollution and all this other stuff. So they were like, hey, everyone will wear a mask. Everyone in Thailand was just like, oh, all right, whatever. And then I look back in America and people are like, oh, I'm going to die. And I'm like, guys, it's like, calm. Like, what is like, I just remember looking back in America and just being like, y'all motherfuckers have lost your mind. And I don't just mean right. I mean, everybody was it was nuts. It was like watching the world burn from afar. It was a super weird experience to not have gone through what you guys all went through.
This is why I say that, right? So it goes back to the correlation I have is the whole Brittany Griner thing, right? Like Brittany Griner gets caught at a Russian airport with fucking CBD fucking oil cartridges for her vapor in fucking her luggage. And they take her to jail because it is illegal there. And people are like, oh, this is Hennessy. What the fuck are we doing? Bitch, the laws aren't the same in Russia as they are in the United States. And I'll also give you that there's a large portion of this country that has never left the borders of their fucking state, let alone the borders of this country. Right? And we are very unique in the fact that we have traveled to probably, I know I have, and I'm sure you're in the same boat, of about 30 plus countries in multiple fucking war zones. And so with that, you have a much better understanding of not only how great this country really is, but how we fucking get away with more shit than anywhere else in the fucking world.
Dude, you could in Thailand, we talk about freedom of the press. Dude, try talking bad about the king in the press over there. See what happens.
Oh, say something bad about the king, dude. Let me tell you how that's gonna play out.
Yeah,
It's
called
not
jail. It's called jail.
And Thai jail's not like American jail.
Dude, dude, next time we talk, I'll tell you a story about, we had a sailor, got tied up in Thai jail for like 15 days. Bro, wild.
Life-changing.
Dude, wild. I got to tell you about that. All right. And then here was, I think, probably the last thing I really wanted to talk about was something on the right that would surprise me that you don't agree with. And then I got some stuff for you on the left that I don't agree with. That you would like, what's something like a kind of like a right-wing, right conservative thought, ideology that you're just like,
you would agree with?
Bullshit. No, that you don't agree with.
Oh, I don't agree with the whole abortion thing, man. I don't agree that it should be. I'm going to catch a lot of flack for this, right? And I know a lot of people. I've made this public, and I've gotten my ass fucking handed to me for it. But I've also had those same people say, "I get it." And we've talked about the abortion thing. Like, we want Roe v. Wade, in my opinion, was not overturned by Trump. It was sent back to the fucking states. I am a huge states' rights guy. I've always been a huge states' rights guy. So the state should make that fucking determination. So first off, Trump didn't do shit. The Supreme Court did exactly what it was supposed to do. It sent it back to the fucking states, right? It's fucking on the app. It's fucking right here. So,
Constitution right here.
Yeah. So with that, I think that there should be some parameters. I think that the left has been like, fucking 8.5 months pregnant, we'll just suck it out. I think that's a bit extreme. I think it's fucking horrible. And I think you're killing a fucking child at that point. What I do agree with is that if we didn't have abortion in this country, there would be millions of illegitimate fucking children running around, and they would be fucking sucking down craziness and resources that we do not fucking have because this country is in debt over its fucking head. So that's my catch on abortion.
Yeah. I do think, I would posit there's probably more rape and incest babies that should be aborted than people getting abortions at 8.5 months. That would be my guess.
100%.
Sadly,
I'm not.
Sadly, I think it's a very extreme example on both sides, but I would say one that is not being protected in a lot of places is probably way more prevalent than the one that I feel like people point to. But I appreciate you sharing that though, because I know what you mean. Like it's not a popular one. So I'll do a bonus round. I got two to keep it quick. One, Gaza. This whole thing. People are like, oh, genocide, all this. Dude, it sucks. Yeah, you know what sucks? War. Have you heard of it? Have you heard of it?
You know my stance on this. You've watched the podcast.
Don't, dude, fuck around and find out. And dude, do I feel bad? Do I feel bad that there are civilians that did? Oh, 100% because you and I have witnessed Iraqis, Afghans, Filipinos that get caught in this shit. It's
heinous shit. Heinous, and it sucks. I completely agree.
Yeah, but at the same time, you're dude, and I was talking to like my kids about. I'm like, dude, if Mexico, Canada, one of those countries came over here, came down, and my family was dead, I couldn't turn those countries into glass fast enough.
It's called 9/11, bro.
Yeah, I do not care.
One comment.
Like,
if you supported this country after 9/11, but you do not support Israel after October 7th, you're a fucking hypocrite.
Huge. Yeah, I don't. Now, granted, to be fair, a lot of people on the left didn't support 9/11 either, blah, blah, blah. But like, what I'm getting at is, dude, so that's one part where I split party ways because I'm just like, no, I can't do it. Do I think they're doing everything right? Israel, blah, blah. No, but what I'm saying is writ large, bro, I'm not going to tell them no. Like, that's your dude, get on it. And then the other one, which this one's a little bit of a two-parter. Why, in some of this national agenda stuff that the Republicans have, they're like, we got to protect the border. We got to keep boys out of girls' sports. I'm like, whoa, hey, hold on here. Let's those two things are not equal. Like, these are not the same thing. How is that part of your national agenda? However, what I'm going to get to is why, and I hate to say it because I know you shared about abortion. I agree. I absolutely agree. Life sucks and it's not fun. Life sucks. It's not fucking fair.
You've seen what unvetted people can do on a fob. You've witnessed it. We've heard about it. We've seen it happen.
dude. And my biggest thing is like, dude, I'm all about, you want to be you are, however you want to shape it. You're transgender. You got, you think you're a boy who's born a boy. You think you're a girl, like whatever. Like, dude, I'm all about it. Like, I am supportive. I'm like, you be you. You're not hurting anybody. And then you tell me you're born a boy and you want to go play sports with the girls and compete on the same level. And I just go, yeah, life's not fucking fair and it's hard. And guess what? When you're at a high school or you're at a private school that wants to support that, fucking have at it, dude. Like all day. But at the end of the day, yeah, life sucks. I think outside of that, if they want to, be called, whatever name in class, all that other shit, dude, I think that is fine. And people should just calm the fuck down and kind of get over it. But there's that part where I'm like, I think that's a bridge too far. And it's just that whole thing. It's just, yeah, life's fucking hard and it's not fair. And I'm sorry.
You just made it fucking harder.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily agree with this. I wish it were different than that is, but there's that part of me is just like, I don't think that is okay. And it sucks. But guess what? You didn't get to play high school sports. Well, cry me a fucking river. I don't know what to tell you. Like,
you had a choice. Right? You had a choice. You chose to get X done instead of playing high school sports. Like, sorry, like life sucks. Life is hard. You're just making it harder on yourself. But if that's what you want to do, you got to make a choice. Do you want to play sports or do you want to transition?
Yeah. And this is not to just diminish what they're going through or to say that I think they shouldn't do any of those things or they shouldn't be supported in many other ways. I just feel like that is one that I'm just like, I think that's really asking a lot of people to accommodate that. And I feel like this is the same way I feel about some of our government, where the tyranny of the minority or the minority party can do a lot of shit to obstruct, which is why we're here. And you've got this minority voice within the government. And it happened when the Republicans or the Democrats are in power, whichever one, and they're stopping everything and we can't get shit done. And I feel like that transgender athletes in high school is such a small minority that it is really not, like, they do not deserve any animus or hate or any discrimination in every way. But in this way, I'm like, life's hard. You'll get out of high school eventually.
You're not going to fucking hear anything from me, bro.
So
I agree with both of those fucking things. I have a daughter and she's got two stepsisters, and those two stepsisters both play basketball. One of them's going to be one of them is fucking good enough. She's going to end up playing at Arizona State probably. And she's about to be a senior, and she's made the same comment to my parents, like, I don't want to compete against the fucking dude, right? So
yeah, it's like you shared yourself about abortion. Like, I brought this out to just say, like, you talk to people, you might be surprised at what they say. I'm liberal as shit, you know what I mean? But you talk to people, you draw it out of them, you find things out. You're gonna find, dude, that's like 3 things we generally just agreed on, and I don't think we may have not ever voted for a single same politician in our 20 odd years of voting rights.
Yeah, because you weren't old enough to vote for the first Clinton election.
No,
I'll fuck that one up. I voted for Clinton the first Clinton election. I'll say it. I fucking hated Bob Dole. I thought he was a fucking clown show. I wasn't old enough to vote for Dukakis and Bush. I was in like the 4th fucking grade, right? Yeah. I wasn't able to vote for the first Obama or for the first Clinton presidency, but I voted for him the second time. That was my first ever vote. I voted for him that time.
Dude, I didn't vote for Bush, but I served under him. It's called being an American. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it fucking is what it is. Hey, Rob.
Yeah, dude.
I appreciate you coming on, man. I enjoyed this. This is probably the most I've fucking laughed on a podcast in a long time, bro. I knew this was gonna happen. I knew we could go. And this is the deal. Like Ruby always says on Decades, right? Like, let's disagree all day fucking long, but at the end of the day, we're gonna go get a beer together, right? So yeah, I cherish the fact that we are friends. I cherish the fact that we still talk and that we fucking get along and send each other shitty text messages every now and then or some fucked up shit. But I appreciate that, Robin. I'm glad you came on. And hey, man, have a good night. And remember to fucking watch, subscribe, and hit that like button. Jenna, take it away.
You know I do.